David Ivanovich, along with his wife and their daughter Elisa, resided in a quaint village situated near a military unit. The vicinity was characterized by its remote and northern landscape. David Ivanovich held a position as one of the officers within the military unit entrusted with maintaining security in the zone where prisoners served their sentences. The families of all officers, including David's, made their home there, ensuring a close-knit community. Their children were enrolled in local kindergarten and school facilities, while amenities such as a club and a canteen provided additional conveniences for the residents. At that time, David Ivanovich's daughter was 15 years old, and she was blossoming like a delicate rosebud. "Your girl is growing up to be a beauty. You should take better care of her. You know the place we live in," David Ivanovich's colleagues would often remark. Recently, the girl had been asking her father for a dog, but things took an unexpected turn. David Ivanovich was already preparing to give his daughter a gift, expecting a puppy from a husky friend, but an interesting incident occurred. One day, a small wolf cub sneaked into the unit's territory. It whined loudly as it sat on the steps of the dining room. Mistaking it for a lost puppy, the attendant brought it to David Ivanovich, who decided not to return it to the forest. He brought the wolf cub home and gave it to his daughter. The baby was so cute that Elisa fell in love with her new pet at first sight. They named the wolf cub Dakota, and from then on, they grew up together, the girl and her beloved wolf. The father took on the task of training the wolf cub, which he did very successfully. Despite hearing that wolves are rebellious animals and cannot be trained, he wanted to test this theory, believing that with love, affection, and care, anything could be achieved with an animal. His theory was confirmed by his own example. The wolf learned commands well, jumped over barriers, and obediently followed its mistress. Time passed, and after graduating from school, Elisa went to the nearest regional center to study to become a cook. While studying, she worked part-time at a local canteen, gaining experience and seniority. She always returned home to her parents on weekends, and her devoted gray friend eagerly awaited her. Upon graduating, Elisa returned to work in a canteen in the military town where she grew up. She believed her place was there, next to her parents and her beloved pet. By this time, her father had received another rank and was promoted to the head of his native unit. Every day, Dakota faithfully awaited his mistress's return from work. Sometimes, he would run away from the yard to search for her if she was late. Everyone in the village knew Elisa and knew whose daughter she was. Dakota was also well known and loved in the town, often being allowed into the dining room where Elisa worked. One evening, Elisa returned home late from work. Salaries in the military camp were distributed that day, and she had to wait. Despite the option to take a small bus home, Elisa preferred to walk in the cold, enjoying the fresh air and crunchy snow. As the snowfall intensified, Elisa hurried home. That evening, Dakota, unable to wait any longer, went out to meet Elisa and accompany her home. Everyone in the area, including Elisa's parents, knew her and Dakota, which brought them comfort and peace of mind. But in vain, there will always be those who want to profit at the expense of others. And not only to profit, one of these opportunists waited until payday, chose a dark alley, and began to wait for a suitable victim. Elisa walked briskly. It was only a short walk to her house. A little there are private houses, high fences, and dark alleys around. The robber, seeing the silhouette of the girl from afar, sat in ambush and, at the first convenient moment, came out to meet her. It is unknown where he came from in this village. He mocked, twirling a knife in his hands, the blade of which sparkled in the darkness. Elisa, noticing him on her way, at first didn't even understand what was happening. Then she thought it was some kind of bad joke. It never even occurred to her that someone could attack her in her hometown. But the bandit began to advance. Elisa was scared. There are enough fools in the world. We must run, but where? The road is blocked. There are few options. And he is just happy. He began to come closer and closer, smiling impudently and flashing his knife. But then, an angry growl was heard behind the stranger. What kind of mongrel decided to interfere with his business? He looked around and saw a wolf who had already taken a fighting stance. The robber did not expect such a turn of events. He realized what he had gotten himself into and chose the only correct option, to run. But where? And in general, racing with a wolf is a very dubious activity. Elisa stepped aside in surprise and astonishment, crouched down, and cleared the way for the bandit. This gave him the opportunity to rush towards the forest. The good man, without thinking twice, took off and flew after him. He drove him straight to the military unit, not allowing him to go either left or right, so he drove him into the hands of those who could quickly provide the robber with a warm place in the territory they protected. However, the man did not intend to give up so easily and decided to jump over the fence. Maybe he will be lucky enough to escape his pursuer after all, but it was not to be. It was not for nothing that David Ivanovich taught Dakota how to take hurdles several years ago. In response, nearly the entire military unit rushed to the scene upon hearing the cries for help. The man's voice grew increasingly desperate, while the wolf tore at his sheepskin coat, sending shreds flying in all directions. Just in time, David Ivanovich arrived and issued the command to cease the commotion. Without hesitation, the noble wolf complied, releasing its grip. Moments later, Elisa emerged, trailing after the wolf, and provided clarity to the unfolding events. Swiftly, the robber was apprehended and handed over to the authorities. Grateful to have been spared from the wolf's fury, he expressed relief. Throughout his life, the virtuous man enjoyed a long and eventful journey, remaining cherished by David Ivanovich's family until the end. If you found this story captivating, please consider giving it a thumbs up and sharing it with your friends. If you're new to our channel and haven't subscribed yet, I highly recommend subscribing now to ensure you don't miss out on future thrilling tales.